This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Sony Reader PRS 600, otherwise known as the Touch Edition Sony Reader. Unlike the PRS 700, this does not have the side lighting along the side, and that turns out to be a good thing unless you read in the dark a lot, because the side lighting created an extra layer of dead air and another layer of glass up top that reduced contrast and introduced a lot of glare. Now this one still isn't quite as sharp as the Sony PRS 505, and we'll take a look at that. Now it still isn't as sharp as the PRS 505, the old Sony reader, but it's got a lot better contrast, certainly, than the previous PRS 700, and I think it's very usable. We'll compare those more in detail later. First, let's take a look at the device. It's got a touch screen here, so if you want to do something, you just tap on it, and it's very responsive. You've got buttons here for page forward and back in case you don't feel like swiping back and forth, which you can do to advance pages. You've got a home button, which obviously takes you to this screen. You've got a zoom button over here, so you can choose between 5 different font sizes, and then an options menu that gives you a variety of options and settings. And things that are context sensitive. Say you want to look at information about a book that you've highlighted, you can do that. The curved edges make it look smaller. In fact, it even curves on this plane, looks smaller than the 505. It is smaller than the 700, but it's pretty much the same size, and in fact it uses the same cover mount system, and PRS 505 covers will fit, mounting into those two holes. This guy does not come with a cover, unlike previous Sony readers. They give you this neoprene little slipcase here, so you're going to have to supply either your own reader cover from your old Sony reader, or go out and buy one if you like to have a book style flip cover. The bottom here we've got the reset hole, the power jack. It still uses the same PSP style charger as previous Sony readers. The mini USB port, the USB cable is included. 3.5mm stereo headphone jack and volume controls if you want to use the MP3 player. Up top we've got the power switch, memory stick, Pro Duo, and SD card slots. And over here is the stylus. You really don't need to use the stylus unless you're annotating a book and underlining. Then it comes in handy. Let's take a look at book annotation. That's going to be a big selling point in this. And we'll take a look at one of the sample books. So the swipe, just do that. And then changing pages. Page refresh is very fast. If you want to zoom, and we're going to make this bigger so you can easily see the text annotation. When you're done zooming, you just touch the close box. Alright, say we want to make some annotations here. Just hit the options button and choose Create Edit Notes. So you've got your choice between a traditional highlighter here. You can write on the screen, on the actual page, and then an eraser so you can undo what you just did. So bear with me, I'm left-handed. I may block the screen as I do this, but say I think that this is really important. Just underline it, and then I can make notes. Just like so. Just like a real book. If you want to underline something, highlight it rather, just do like so. Now notes are saved in their own repository, and Sony says that with the new desktop software you'll actually be able to sync your notes, which is very useful. So here are notes that I've created, and if you tap on it, it takes you to that page in the book with the annotations intact. There's also a drawing program. This is another case when you'll probably want to use the stylus. It's very simple. You can either draw or erase. It's a grayscale screen, so you have just black to deal with. Draw a really sophisticated flower here. And if you want to save it, you just hit done. If you don't want to save it, just hit the close box and it'll prompt you as to whether or not. Now let's take a look at a few things that don't require the stylus. We'll go back to our Stephen King book in German. So you want to search. Something that's not too easy to do on the PRS 505 actually. You just got an on-screen keyboard right here. And Easy enough. And then it finds the first occurrence there, which is a partial word match. And then if you want to go to the previous or the next search result, and you keep going like that until you're happy and you've found what you're looking for, and then you can hit close box and just return to the page. Other options are landscape mode, which the PRS 505 and 700 also support, so you can read sideways if you want. This is the only orientation. It doesn't go all four ways. It's either this way or this way. While we're in this mode, though, let's take a look at some PDFs. PDFs obviously fit better in landscape displays, and this has PDF reflow, which works with text, but it can't reflow images in PDFs. Take a look at a manual. It has a lot of graphics. See how that does. So here you have PDF of a manual. You have the font size increase function here, which you can do with this guy. But better yet, with the touchscreen model, you can do the zoom. PRS 700 also had this feature. This works better with PDFs, which behave more like images than just plain old font zooming, and it's handy if you want to move it on the picture. You use these to pan around, and when you're done, most everything else, you just hit the X button. One of the biggest new features for this is a built-in dictionary. It's a lot easier to use than the Kindle. So with the Kindle, obviously there's no touchscreen, so you've got to use the little four-way D-pad to notch your way through all the lines and all the words, with it merrily trying to look up every word that you pass along the way. This one is as simple as you can either use the stylus or you can use your hand. Just double tap on the word you want to look up. There's the definition right down there. If you want to see the full page from the dictionary, there it is. If you want to look up something else, tap on the keyboard and you can pick a word to look up. And let's activate that again. If you want to search for the word, tap on that and it's going to find every occurrence of that word in the book. You can page forward to the previous matching search results, page back, and when you're done, just close that. And you can also highlight a word once you've opened it up in the dictionary. Take a look at it. Now let's compare this to the Sony PRS 505, which is kind of the gold standard of ebook readers with e-ink screens. It's got the sharpest, probably most contrasty screen of any ebook reader. As you can see, it still has more contrast. The fonts are a little different. I've actually modified my PRS 505 to change it to the font that I prefer. So we're not comparing exactly the same thing here. We are comparing the same file, the same book, though. While the PRS 700 was really not good to look at, I've been using these since the original PRS 500 came out 3 years ago, and I couldn't adjust to the 700 screen. I'd say that this does have a bit less contrast. At certain angles you can create glare, but it's easy enough to angle the glare away. And the contrast is good enough that I could see using this. But if you're a real stickler for the most contrasty display, the PRS 505 and the new PRS 300, the 5-inch smaller reader, are going to be your best choices. Those do lose the touch screen. What's causing the slight loss of contrast here, or more than slight, is the touchscreen layer. Let's compare this to the Kindle. We have the Kindle DX here, so can't exactly fit them here very easily. The Kindle DX does have an accelerometer to handle automatic rotation. So as you can see, the Kindles still don't quite have the contrast of the PRS 505 either. So we're getting closer to a match in terms of the grayish background and the grayish background here. So if you're used to a Kindle, you're probably going to think this is just grand. And again, I don't think it's even that bad compared to the 505. In case you're just curious, I'll show you the 505 next to the Kindle. So that's the new Sony Reader Touch Edition PRS 600 with the dictionary, the touch screen, and a couple of other really cool features, including drawing, highlighting, and note-taking. It sells for $2.99. Visit Mobile Tech Review to read our full review.